Oh, man, I know what this is. I saw the back, and I thought, I know what that one is. This one is cool. Okay.
Talk about album cover that's menacing.
Yeah.
I mean, Dio.
So Dio, the Last in Line. Now, this was Dio's second solo album.
The first one was
Holy Diver.
Holy Diver with Rainbow in the Dark and all that, right?
Rainbow in the Dark.
So Vivian Campbell's playing guitar.
Vivian Campbell, was on that first Dio album. As a matter of fact, Ronnie James Dio discovered Vivian Campbell, who now plays for Def Leppard.
Yeah, forever.
Which is, I don't get it. I don't know. I've never been able to. I've seen him with Def Leppard, and I, for me, this is always him. This kind of style,
heavier stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, Vivian Campbell.
He was so cool. He was so good.
Yes, I believe if I'm not mistaken, he's on this as well.
Yeah.
So
for sure. Now this is interesting because one of the things that Ronnie James Dio was clearly trying to do was create a character, because this same character is on Holy Diver, and this same character is on the one after this, which was Dream Evil after this. Anyway, he put out a bunch more albums, and for me, they just kind of became one big album. They just all, for me, I was a huge Dio fan, but after this one, they all just started rinse and repeat. They started sounding all the same to me.
I think he kind of stuck to that formula, but it didn't have nothing against this. There's some great tunes on this one, but Rainbow in the Dark, dude, that's hard to beat,
album,
bro.
The first album was just amazing. This album followed almost the exact formula, and this was a great album too. Not as good, but great, and not as great or whatever. Anyway, this was still really, really good album, but then it started falling off a little bit after this. But still, here's this character that was on the first one, and he's also got that, that thing. Yeah. And there's always that dispute. Who came up with that? Was it him or Gene Simmons? Right. Because Gene Simmons, matter of fact, I remember seeing an interview with Ronnie James Dio, and he was talking, somebody asked him about that. Said, now, Gene Simmons actually claims that he came up with that look, and Ronnie James Dio said something like, well, Gene Simmons, of course, he invented that, and he invented water, and and he was making fun about
Gene. That.
Gene says he did everything. And so, anyway, but this was always, if you ever see all that old Ronnie James Dio stuff, he's got that thing that he's doing all the time. And anyway, that's his, so you've got the big character. I think he had a name for this character, too. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, not as strong as a character as like Eddie.
No, and that's the thing. He was trying to create an Eddie kind of thing to represent this band, which was Dio. Even though that's his name, that was the band name, Dio. And then there was always this thing about if you turn Dio upside down, it says devil, and that was I'll show you. People used to show me this, that there's the D, there's the E, there's the V, and there's the L. So that was the
for the
point.
People with more imagination than me or time.
Yeah,
that
but that was the thing, though.
But that was the
thing. You were into that stuff,
like,
dude. It says devil, man. He's like a.
I mean, look at that's Satan right there.
Exactly.
Again, we touched on this, I think, once again before. It's one of those things that the imagery, you couldn't just Google this. This is something you'd go to a store. You're looking through this. And as an 18-year-old or 20-year-old, and you're like, what's cool? What's heavy? Now, by this time, heavy metal's
because what year was this? 84, 83, something like that.
And, I mean, you're going to pick something out that's menacing, right?
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
So, here you go.
84.
Marketing at its finest.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And of course, Dio was just... He was such a great... As a matter of fact, I bust out stuff and listen to him every once in a while because some of his lyrics would border on the silly because it would just kind of go into the same kind of topics all the time. I mean, at some point in this album, he's going to talk about a rainbow. He's going to talk about, it's some medieval thing, the knights and knight and warrior, whatever, princess. I mean, it's that kind of imagery that conjures up everything Dio really. That's at least for me. But still, his voice was so... There's never been anybody like him. I mean, to me, the closest is probably maybe Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden as far as that huge thing.
Yeah.
But it was so big. And, as a matter of fact, prior to this band, prior to Dio, of course, he was with Black Sabbath.
Sure.
And
I mean, replacing Ozzy. That's a big deal.
Yes.
And now you're going to go out and form your own band. And you mentioned Dickinson as being the other guy with the big voice. Both of them we touched on how he wasn't a very big guy. Maybe Dio's not a very big guy.
No, he's actually same thing. Really, really short.
Little
short
guy and huge voice.
Yeah.
Not not saying anything bad about little guys, but huge voices. But
yeah. See, he was not. A matter of fact, I had a good friend back in Denver, Doug, that's met Dio a few times, and Doug's like 6'3", and Dio was really, really a small guy, but giant voice, and apparently just one of the most pleasant, unassuming people you'd ever meet. Like really nice guy.
That's exactly what I've heard, Robert, is Dio's one of the nicest people. He's all menacing with the marketing and all this, but one of the nicest people.
Yeah.
Had like some like LA bowling league or something. I don't know. I don't know where or how I know that. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody. But super nice. I've heard that. I think. Oh my gosh, I'm thinking about the guy that has the radio talk show all the time. He's interviewed him. He mentioned something like that once before too.
Oh. I know who you're talking about. I'll think of it in a minute because I listen to him all the time because he always talks to the heavy metal. Oh god. I feel silly. I can't think of his name because he's the one that did that metal show.
Yes, that's one thing. Eddie Trunk.
Eddie Trunk. I love Eddie Trunk. So Dio, super nice guy, humongous voice, but to end up being a solo artist, he of course his first band I think was called Elf, and then Richie Blackmore when he left Deep Purple formed a band called Rainbow. Ronnie James Dio was the first singer for Rainbow. And that's where Man on the Silver Mountain.
Yeah, if you like singing about rainbows.
Yes, exactly. But that gives you the thing, like Man on the Silver Mountain. It's this kind of this imagery, medieval imagery that was always his thing. Then, of course, he joins Black Sabbath, does 2 albums, Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules, actually 3 if you count the Live Evil. And then there was some problems with Live Evil that got him, and he got upset about how things were mixed and whatever, and it was a little bit challenge coming in and replacing Ozzy. Oh my gosh, that's kind of a weird story, but think about that. Ronnie James, because this is kind of what forced him out to become his own band.
Yeah.
He was in Black Sabbath. They put out Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules. He's replacing Ozzy, for heaven's sake. I mean, how do you do that? It's like replacing Robert Plant in Led Zeppelin. I mean, similar kind of idea.
Yeah, huge shoes to fill.
So, and very, very tough for people to accept it. They then look at the timing. They put out these 2 albums with Dio. Then they put out a live album called Live Evil. And then at the same time, Ozzy Osbourne has put out 2 albums and puts out a live album called Speak of the Devil. Guess which one sells? The Ozzy album. And it's a bunch of Black Sabbath covers.
Right.
With Brad Gillis from Night Ranger playing guitar on it.
Right.
So basically Black Sabbath puts out a song with album with Ronnie James Dio live, and then Ozzy Osbourne puts out a live album. It's Black Sabbath cover tunes. And I think all this stuff. Then Dio in the middle of it's upset about how it's being mixed, and he thinks that Tony Iommi's being deceptive and stuff, and so then they part ways. Yeah. Dio goes, forms the band, finds Vivian Campbell, creates that first album with Rainbow in the Dark, which is huge. And then he, of course, thinks that he invented keyboard riffs in heavy metal. I don't know, but he's talked about that. I was the dun 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 dun, in Rainbow in the Dark. He's pretty proud of that. And then anyway, then this is the follow-up album. So flipping it over, it's kind of part 2 of the front. You've got more of the people and just the destruction here. And then produced by Dio. Then we'll know for the first time if we're evil or divine. We're the last in line. This is actually taken from the song "The Last in Line." We Rock. He followed the same pattern from the first album. The first album had a song called. Oh God, I can't remember it. But the first album starts out with this really heavy rockin' tune, and then it's followed by Holy Diver. Same thing here, followed by the song and then somewhere in here, there's actually even a song that has a keyboard.
Because he invented the keyboard,
the one in heavy metal. I can't which one. I think it's Mystery. So on side 2, where Rainbow in the Dark was on side 2 in the first album with the keyboard, Mystery side 2 keyboard.
Man.
Same pattern. oh my gosh, I can't believe I can't think of the first song. I'm going to feel so stupid in 10 minutes when it crossed my mind what the first song on the first album was. Because it was such a great, such a great tune. Anyway, I'll let that one go because I'm going to feel, anyway. So Vinny has this thing, those who created, those who labored, those who supported. So I guess that's his way of saying who did. So he's got Ronnie James Dio singing, vocals, keyboards, Vinny Appice was the drums, Jimmy Bain on bass. Vinny Appice actually, I believe, had played on those Black Sabbath albums too, and I think they even misspelled his name on one of them, as I recall. But anyway, I think that's where he got him. Vivian Campbell guitar, and then
which we talked about him.
Claude
He's just awesome.
Shell or whatever Scholl on keyboards, and I remember hit that guy too. Apparently, he's a really talented guy.
Good thing Ronnie showed him how to get it done.
Better believe it. Yep. So, and I want to see if I know any of these other names here. Oh, then you've got the people that drew it and...
the artists. Give some props. Good job, Ronnie.
See, so Barry Jackson, original concept, Ronnie and Wendy Dio. They're the ones that came up with this idea. Wendy was stayed married to her till the day he died. Because Ronnie, of course, passed away a few years ago from some stomach cancer. Yeah. And Wendy has kind of carried on his legacy. And she's kind of an interesting character too, but they apparently really loved each other.
Yeah, no, so, I think rest in peace, Ronnie. But I think they're doing some like hologram tour.
Yes!
Yeah, I think we were talking about that a while back.
Crazy interesting.
That's interesting, right? Yeah. Like the live band with Dio as the hologram.
Yeah. I always liked the inside of this. I remember I just stared at this thing forever. Just this picture. You know, it just the fans. Some group, I must be out sort of some concert, I suppose, and we're just looking at this and staring at all these people, and then of course
that's cool.
People would bring their artwork in, and then on this side you've got the different guys in the band, just little shots of them kind of in action.
Nice.
So there's Vivian. He was a nobody, you know. Ronnie discovered him. He's very proud of that fact too. And there's Dio,
and the rest of the
rest of the band down there. And let's just take a quick look on the inside, see if there's anything here. I know this is just kind of
standard
a typical
Standard
Warner Brothers, except he had the little, kind of put his logo there. And then we rock RJ Dio, Bain, Campbell. So Dio looks like he was involved in writing.
Some writing credits, yeah.
You know, interestingly, and I don't want to, I could go on for a while about this, but interestingly, one of the things that Ronnie James Dio did that was kind of interesting, that he learned from, this is actually really interesting, and I don't want to go off on this forever, but when he was in Rainbow, one of the things that he didn't like about being in Rainbow was that Richie Blackmore, that was his band.
Right.
Richie Blackmore, of course, is the guitarist for Deep Purple and Can Do No Wrong.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
He's the man in charge.
And he made sure everybody knew that he was the man in charge. Right. And so there wasn't a lot of collaboration in that band. And so when Dio put this band together, he went out of his way to make sure that the band members were involved in the songwriting and the creative process.
Because he's a nice guy. We talked about that.
It's a nice guy, and it's also real leadership. You know, you realize that if you're a good leader, you succeed if the people that work for you have an investment in it.
Yeah, I think people say that you can
Stand Up and Shout. That's the first song on the other album. Sorry, had to get that. Okay. That was killing me. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, you have the power over type leadership or power with. I can see being powered over by Richie Blackmore. I can see Dio being the power with. Hey, let's all feel, you're contributing. This is, even though the band's got my name and I'm the front man, I mean, for him to be collaborative and having everybody be part of that, I mean, yeah, it's going to have that cohesiveness. Although he did have quite the turnstile of people coming through his band over the years.
Yeah, over time, he did. I mean, Craig Goldie came in after, I think he was right after Vivian Campbell, and he was a kind of a guitar whiz god too. He played with Giuffria, and and then he just had that kind of thing, same thing.
Yeah.
So, but it was always Dio at the heart of it. Yeah. And then Dio got back together with the original guys from Black Sabbath and did Heaven and Hell not long before he died. Thanks for watching this clip from our show. Please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and if you enjoyed this video, I bet you know somebody else who would enjoy it too, so share it with them. Go to our channel right now where you can watch full-length episodes, and thanks for stopping by.